Let's talk about the smallest human being in the history of the world, who looks to me to be attempting to try to become one of the top twins. Is that the same to you? Is he trying out to be one of the top twins?
I don't know if this is horrible to say or not, but Leo Molloy looks like a tiny lesbian.
Yeah, he's trying out to be one of the top twins, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, people were having a crack at me over the weekend for blocking them. I was just blocking dicks, and Leo Molloy's blocked me, so I don't know too much about what's going on in his life. But here's something interesting today. The Auckland businessman facing a charge of assaulting police has this morning outed himself. It's Viaduct restaurateur and one-time City mayoral candidate Leo Molloy. The owner of HQ Bar on Auckland's Viaduct Basin instructed his lawyer, Quinton Duff, that he no longer wants or needs name suppression. Needs name suppression is interesting. Over an alleged incident in July 2023. I'm just pausing it here because if you don't know, Leo Molloy is a long, loud, ardent opposer of name suppression. He has, I think this is the case. You could look this up, Joe. I'm pretty sure it is the case. He has faced charges for breaching name suppression orders before, yes. And he often talks about these people should not be getting name suppression. Now, some of the people he's talking about are like done horrific things, and I might actually agree with him. But whether I do or don't, this is a man who does not believe in name suppression. Right? We've got to make that very, very, very clear. So, July 2023, where police claims the 1.65 meter, I didn't know they stack shit that high, ex-jockey assaulted a 1.95 meter, that's 6'5", team policing cop and obstructed a female officer. On Monday morning, Malloy again appeared in the Auckland District Court before Judge Catherine Maxwell, where Duff said the name suppression application had been abandoned. He earlier pleaded not guilty to the charges of assaulting police officer and obstructing another officer. Judge Maxwell remanded Malloy at large until his next court date on April 3 in the same court. The complainant in the alleged assault, carrying a maximum penalty of 6 months in prison or a $4,000 fine, is a male constable. Right, here's the important bit, right? Malloy told the Herald he only sought suppression on those charges at the time because of potential issues with his liquor license application with the Auckland Liquor Licensing Authority. My legal advice was it would not be in my best interest to have my name in the media, as that could have opened the floodgates to a number of objections over the variance to the liquor license HQ had applied for. So very clearly, his legal advice said it would not be in his best interest to have his name in the media. To which I've responded, no shit, Sherlock. Do you think anyone else might also have used it that you outed or wanted to out based on their legal advice? In other words, when it's about him, there's a reason for name suppression. But when it's about these other people, you should not get it. It is a clear-cut case of one rule for me and not for thee, for the world's smallest, fully grown adult hypocrite. Chewy.
Let's talk about his objection to name suppression, shall we? Yes, name suppression is fucking annoying. But it exists for a very clear reason. And what he was convicted of was breaching the name suppression around the murder of Grace Mullane up in Auckland. Yep. And he was incensed. He personally didn't think it was fair. So he put the murderer's name out there, which jeopardizes one of the pillars of just justice, right? Is the right to a fair trial.
Yeah.
Now, there is no way that this guy was going to get away with that court case. There was so much evidence. But he put that at risk. He put a fair jury at risk because he thought that it wasn't fair. This man has no grounding in the law. He's an opinionated little bar owner. And yeah, as we're quite rightly mocking, as soon as his opportunity to keep his name out so it didn't affect his business, and he couches the fact of worrying about his 40 staff or whatever, pull the other one. Yeah, he'll use it. I give him credit for withdrawing it, but it's a partial credit.
Well, let's just wait, because maybe it would have been cancelled at the next appeal anyway. We don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know that. But it's still this idea is that when it's him, there is a good reason to have temporary name suppression, right? But what he's saying for everybody else is there's no reason you should get name suppression. But for him, his legal advice was, let's keep your name out of the news for now. But for everybody else who's getting that legal advice, not about you. You can't have it. He's just ridiculous.
He's just the owner. Like it should, like if he was worried about it, just put someone else in charge of the bar. Like you got a bar manager. It's their licenses. But I think if you run around breaching suppression orders and get convicted of it, and then follow it up by assaulting a police officer,
allegedly,
then you're not a fit and proper person to hold
allegedly
a manager's license.
Because we try and do stay by rules. Allegedly assaulted a police officer. If that's what happened, you said. So that's correct. If. We don't know. If.
Yeah.
Before the courts.
And that's the thing. You could just go, oh, okay, fair enough. I don't believe in name suppression, so I am now not a director of HQ. But he doesn't want it because he bases his personality around that bar. You lived in Auckland. Have you ever been to HQ, Pat?
I don't think so. I spent a bit of time down the viaduct. The viaduct kind of popped up a little bit, not quite outside my university days, but I was more sort of clubbing in Queen Street and in Manukau. I used to go clubbing at a place in Manukau called the Colosseum, which then turned into a massive Christian church afterwards. So people used to go there to get a different kind of liquor.
I do like the fact that some place called the Colosseum turned into a place for Christians.
Yeah, the Lions were gone though. Well gone. Yeah. So anyway, look, I just, that's one of those little stories, you know. I mean, this is also the kind of thing that, and like, look, everyone can be hypocritical. Everyone's hypocritical from time to time. We will have been from time to time as well. But as much as I can try for me and for us and for the show, as what shall I say it out loud? We play each ball in its merits. You know, we walk and chew gum at the same time, which is why I'm saying I'm actually really against doxing. And I think that the left have a really, 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 really bad habit of being anti-doxing when it's let's say it's an LGBT activist sort of thing. But then when it's someone at a Julian Bachelor meeting who's offended or who's allegedly offended, then they go searching for them and they broadcast their information. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. And that's why I've never been involved with that and don't want to do it. So you got to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, you end up just looking foolish. I remember there used to be, it might still be around, there used to be a group called the Sensible Sentencing Trust. They were really a psyop for the right. And they showed their true colours when all of a sudden there was a young brown boy who was assaulted. There was a young brown boy who was assaulted by a white property owner because he allegedly had sprayed his fence, and the property owner came out and actually beat him quite badly. And the Sensible Sentencing Trust, which was about the victims, were all of a sudden supporting the property owner, not the victim, who was because he allegedly sprayed a wall in an alleyway beside the person's house. So he was the offender, not because the owner of the property then put him in hospital. There might have even been a stabbing involved with that. There might have been. I could be wrong with that, but it was a pretty serious assault. So they lost any credibility they could have possibly had, because all of a sudden, when the young brown boy needed someone to defend them, the victim, they went with the offender. Leo Molloy, he's just now lost any credibility of any kind of argument around name suppression because he's applied for it himself. You know, you just if you're not consistent, you lose any credibility for being able to make that or other arguments because you become less believable. So we will always at least try and endeavour to be consistent. Sorry, Drew.
Here's my gold standard, right? When you're talking about name suppression, right? Friend of the show, Dudley from Meow, well, formerly of Meow down here. He was involved. Like there was so much chatter for ages because the court case kept on getting put off. But a prominent Auckland patron of the arts, I guess,
was a knight, wasn't it?
And that was all the information that was out there. That a prominent Auckland personality, a patron of the arts, was up against some quite serious sexual assault charges. And it was one of those things that in that scene, in that art scene in Auckland, it was kind of like an open secret, but nobody talked about it. And one of the people that we knew, that's been on the show with us before, we never even knew that he was caught up with that, and he had to just watch those news stories roll in. Court case went ahead, and then suddenly Dudley was able to talk about it. Now, if Dudley can hold his tongue about the horrible situation that he was in, then Leo Molloy can hold his tongue about something that he's not even fucking involved in.
Yeah.